Good morning, YouTube. Um, this has been one of those mornings, so I'm just gonna pick up on this William Cooper, 15 minutes. On the other side, he has at times made me so angry that I could have punched him in the mouth, but I never have. It's damn hard for anyone not to like him. He is always up to some mischief, and I can guarantee you that no one is ever bored around my father. My mother is a real Southern lady. They used to call her kind a Southern belle. She is one of the last of a dying breed. Dovie Nell Woodside Cooper is the type of woman that men like to dream about when they're lonely. She is the kindest, gentlest woman that I have ever known. I do not make that statement just because she is my mother. It's true. She was beautiful as a young woman, and she is beautiful now. My mother is one of those people who once she likes you, can't be driven away. She is loyal to a fault. I have seen her during the good and during the bad times. She never flinched. No matter how, no, she's never flinched, no matter what. It always surprised me that she could be so tough and yet so kind, gentle, and loving at all times. And loving all the time, all at the same time. Woe to anyone, excuse me, y'all. Woe to anyone Woe to anyone who ever harms my dad or one of her children in her presence. She's the best cook who ever stepped foot in any kitchen that was ever built. I love my mother probably more than anyone else in this world. I have a brother, Ronnie, and a sister, Connie. They are fraternal twins, 2 years younger than me. We were closer than most siblings when we were children because we spent so much of our life in foreign countries where oftentimes we find ourselves unable to communicate except with each other. We had school friends, but school was often many miles from where we lived. We had few toys. Most of them were things that mother gave us, such as spools, cigar boxes, string, or anything else that we could find to keep us occupied. Every Christmas was a delight because we always got some real toys. Ronnie and I had a propensity to see how things work. However, so they never lasted long. Everything we wore, including shoes, was ordered from the Sears catalog. It was the wish book, and we never tired of looking through it. We alternately loved each other, hated each other, fought each other, and defended each other, as I guess all kids do. Ronnie, sorry. Ronnie, his wife Susie, and their daughter Jennifer lived in Garber, Oklahoma, where Ron sells John Deere farm equipment. Ron and Susie built their house with their own hands. As far as I know, they intend to live in that house until they die. Ronnie served as an officer in the Army. In Vietnam, he earned the Silver Star. We haven't seen each other since 1976 after he came to visit me in the hospital after I lost my leg. Nevertheless, I love him and I miss him a lot. Neither one of us can afford to travel much unless it's business. But one of these days, as soon I'm going to surprise him unless visit. Connie has shown me pictures, and one looks just like my. Connie has shown me pictures. One moment, y'all. My apologies, you all. I'm at work. I try to work early morning. But anyway, Connie has shown me pictures of Ron. He looks just like my great-grandfather. Now, almost every picture I've seen shows Ron in chaps, a Stetson, boots, and either near or on a horse. I guess that is about how it should be, as Ronnie always wanted to be a cowboy when he was a child. Connie has really turned out to be a fine woman. When she was little, I sometimes liked her and sometimes didn't. Little boys don't usually have much use for little girls, since we only had each other to play with. However, Ronnie and I loved her a lot, but little boys just can't ever admit anything like that. I remember Connie always followed me everywhere I went. I couldn't get rid of her no matter what or how hard I've tried. Her devotion and loyalty made me love her all the more. Of course, I pretended that she was a pain in the ass. As we grew older and began to realize there was a really big difference between boys and girls, Connie began to take on an air of mystery. From that time until I was about 18, she baffled me completely. I remember when she was about around 13 or so, she would throw temper tantrums when she got angry. She would stomp her feet, scream, run to her room, and then slam the door. Ronnie and I thought it was a great show, but couldn't for love or money understand why she did it. When we asked Mom, she would just shake her head and say, hormones. And this is a picture of them when they were little. I don't know if y'all can hear that, but my stomach is grumbling. You hear me? Okay. So that's a picture of them when they were little. Connie grew up to be a beautiful woman and eventually married her high school sweetheart, Gus Deaton. They had two beautiful children, Janice and Chrissy. Janice is very much like Connie, loving and loyal. Chrissy is different. She's a redhead who loves to party. I guess Chrissy represents a freedom of spirit more than anything else. Connie's marriage deteriorated, and no one could figure out what was happening until Gus was diagnosed as having brain tumors. It was tragic. Everyone really loved Gus. As his disease progressed and he began to do crazy things, people just drifted away. I have always nurtured a very special love for Chrissy. She never deserted her father. When no one else could stand to be around him, Chrissy chose to go and live with him so he won't be lonely, she said. Even now, I get all choked up when I think of that little redhead girl going to live with her sick father so he won't be lonely. His behavior was such that no one else could stand to be around him. At least that is what I'm told. It wasn't Gus's fault that he became ill, and I've always felt it just wasn't fair to Connie, the children, or Gus. I've since learned that life is seldom fair. Okay. Connie eventually remarried and moved to Austin, Texas, where she has established herself as a valuable employee of a large bank. Her husband is an executive for McGraw-Hill. These are the people that put the lies in the school books. His name, coincidentally, is Ron. We all really like Ron McClure, especially Dad, who has formed a close friendship with him. My sister has really blossomed into a wonderful woman. She has become one of my dearest and closest friends. She has grown to be so much a part of me that even now I sometimes get a feeling to look behind me to see if that little girl is still there. I feel a great loss when I see that If's only Sugar Bear, my faithful dog, but then I love him too, so I can't complain. I graduated in 1961 from Yamato High School in Japan. That fall, I enlisted in the Air Force. I really wanted to go into the Navy, but I had always had a tendency toward car sickness and seasickness. I attended basic at Lakeland Air Force Base, Texas, and Technical School for Aircraft and Missile or I say hydraulics at Amarillo Air Force Base. Upon completion, I was ordered to the 495th bomb wing of the Strategic Air Command at Shepherd Air Force Base, just outside of Wichita Falls. The name was later changed to the 424th fifth 4245th bomb wing. Don't ask me why. In just a short time, I had gone from skinny kid who didn't know much about anything, even though I thought I did, to an airman who had a secret security clearance and worked on B-52 bombers, KC-135 refueling aircraft, and Minuteman missiles. I saw real atomic bombs. I worked around them on a daily basis. Because of that, I had to wear a dosimeter just in case I was exposed to radiation. In those days, we were the elite of the Air Force, and we knew it. I received a letter of commendation for my work. In due time, I was awarded the National Defense Medal and the Air Force Good Conduct Medal. Actually, I think everyone was awarded the National Defense Medal so that no one would be embarrassed standing in formation with nothing on their chest. It was during this time that I met a couple of sergeants who kind of adopted me. We went out to the clubs together and usually ended up chasing women and drinking a lot of beer. They told me several stories about being attached to a special unit that recovered crashed flying saucers. Sergeant Meese told me that he had been on one operation that transported a saucer so large that a special team went before them, lowering all telephone poles and fence posts. Another team followed and replaced them. They moved it only at night. It was kept parked and covered somewhere off the road during the day. Since we were always half tanked when these stories came out, I never believed them. Sergeants were known to tell some tall tales to younger guys like me. On November 22nd, 1963, I was on duty as CQ charge of quarters for the field maintenance squadron. Most of the men were out on the flight line working the barracks. Orderlies had been assigned their tasks. The first sergeant was gone somewhere, and I was alone. I turned on the orderly room TV to watch the live broadcast of the president's motorcade in Dallas. I was not prepared for what I saw. I stared in disbelief as the events unfurled in front of my eyes. I knew that something had happened, but what? I had seen and heard the assassination, but my mind was not accepting it. I kept staving at the set to discover what it was that had happened when slowly the realization crept over me. A numbness spread up my arms and legs. I saw what had happened. The hair stood up on the back of my neck and a chill went down my spine. President Kennedy had been shot right in front of my eyes. Right in front of my eyes. At that point, huge tears began to stream down my face. Waves of emotion rushed through my body. I felt that I had to do something, so I picked up the direct line to the command center. I choked back the tears. When the command duty officer answered, I told him that the president had just been shot in Dallas. There was a pause, and he asked me, "How do you know he had been shot?" I told him that I had watched it on television and then hung up the phone. I was numb all over. A few minutes later, the command duty officer called back and ordered a red alert at DEFCON 2. Defense Condition 2 meant war was imminent. The roar of jet engines could already be heard as the alert crews taxied their planes toward the runway. I was scared shitless, and I ran from barracks to barracks, routing out the night shift who had the day off.